5 hours north of Sydney and 15 minutes south of the famous Big Banana Fun Park. It's the Rabbitohs taking on the Raiders live from Coffs Harbour at the majestic CX Coffs International Stadium. Round 3 in the SRL's 4th season. On Wednesday night, it's two teams unbeaten so far after 2 rounds, looking to cement their spot in the top 4. I'm Logan Strange, joined by Will Kay in the commentary box tonight. You were down with both teams while they were warming up. Will, what's the general feeling you have down there?
Well, the word of the day, Komish, is excited. Both the captains, Jai Collins and Rahul Kaval, were very, very excited to kick off this game here. Obviously both teams undefeated so far in the season, and it's a big, big point to get off to a really good start with a win here.
Like you mentioned, both teams unbeaten so far this season. Thompson has the ball on the tee as Noah Gould looks to the sidelines. Sideline touchies are ready, and we are underway here on Wednesday night in the SRL. The Rabbitohs going left to right with the first possession of the game, and Mason Remy just charging it straight up into that Raiders defensive line as the Rabbitohs looking to get on the front foot early. Coming off a win last week, the Rabbitohs, or the Raiders as well, as mentioned. It was the Rabbitohs who took down Parramatta in a hard-fought contest, 14 points to 12, while the Raiders ran rampant against the Panthers in the opening 20 minutes and eventually won that 36 points to 18. But it's the battle of the Jacks here tonight. Jack Cahill from the Rabbitohs and Jack O'Neill in the Raiders. Both of these halves have been standouts in the opening couple of weeks in the SRL's 4th season. And they will be looking to guide their teams and especially their large forward packs around the park. And you were down on the sideline just before the game kicked off, and I saw you talking to Jordan Williams. He's been injury prone over the past couple of seasons, coming off an injury after round 1. Did you manage to get any information out of Jordan, Will? And how is he feeling after that? I think it was a corked thigh back in round 1.
Yeah, I had a good chat with Jordan just before. He was just talking about his injury and how he felt. Obviously, he's feeling a lot more confident now. He's come off it quite well. He said the physio staff that they've got at the Raiders have been really, really good at rehabilitating players that have serious injuries or minor injuries. So that, he's in top form, and that the captain definitely wouldn't put him out there if he wasn't.
Good to know. Probably the player who's had the most injuries. Yes, in the SRL, as the Rabbitohs have made an error inside their own half as Mayava comes away with it, and the Raiders have now thrown away the ball themselves. So both teams, a couple of errors in the opening 5 minutes to start this one. Wednesday night in the SRL. How good does it to have the Simulation Rugby League Premiership? And these two teams mentioned unbeaten so far this season. The Rabbitohs wins against the Eels in round 1. Sorry, the Panthers in round 1, 18 points to 6. And then the Eels last week as O'Hare bursts up through the middle. Wins against 2 lower place sides, coming against a higher place side tonight here in the Raiders. And you have to say the Raiders have been in probably the best form we've seen from them to start at SRL season, Will.
Sorry, Komish. I think it's been a really, really good start for both. As Jack O'Neill puts the ball down. It's been a really, really good start from both sides, winning both their first 2 games. It's a bit of a decider, this match, to see who places what on the ladder.
Yeah, a bit of a different sort of test for the Rabbitohs tonight as they come up against arguably one of the best forward packs in the competition. As O'Hare takes an inside ball and inside the 10. So the Rabbitohs are the first opportunity of the game as they go to Hayden Davis. Hard to close to the line. It's Jordan Williams Could have been Jacob Morrison as they go flat to Remy from the base of the ruck. Final tackle now. It's Thorne to Cahill. Short ball from Cahill, off the knee, in fact, to Barnes. And no, referee says knock on as Barnes is trapped in the in goal. And the Raiders take it back out to the 10 for the restart. So we've talked about the Rabbitohs and their start to the season, beating both the Panthers and the Eels. Two teams finding themselves at the bottom of the table at the moment. Contrasting for the Raiders, who beat the Broncos 28 points to 14 round one at Suncorp Stadium. And then last week coming out winners against the Panthers 36 points to 18. 3 tries in the opening 10 minutes. Got the Raiders off to a good start. 2 tries to Jack O'Neill in that one. And they will definitely be hoping to replicate that early out of the gate start here at Coffs Harbour as Williams kicks on the final. Down to the wing of Tyrone Clay. It's his second return of the night. And this one's a lot better as he shrugs off a couple of would-be defenders and makes his way out just beyond the Rabbitohs 30. So a good start for Tyrone Clay on that right wing as Thorne busts through the middle. The little hooker just finds himself in the backfield for the first time in a long time. And it's Eli Barnes who chops him down. Now it's Remy. Takes a short ball and charges it forward. It gets the legs pumping, drives it up to the Raiders 20. Inside to O'Hare. Aaron O'Hare playing at number 13, the lock position this season as Thorne scoots from dummy half. Trying to find the markers napping. Final tackle now is Cahill trying to get the ball away. The Raiders defence rush and put pressure on him. And they come away with it here, Canberra.
And that's a good play from the Raiders' defence there, chasing down the very not confident Jake Cahill kick and just reaping the rewards for it, getting just a 6 tackle set, but definitely in good field position, much better than if they were on the defensive line, on the try line.
You mentioned the confidence of Jack Cahill there. Obviously, this is his 3rd game for the Rabbitohs since transferring from Brisbane last season. His 3rd club since beginning his SRL career. And you'd have to say that he will be wanting to try and cement a spot at a team now and try and find that confidence that you just have to say is his opposite, or even his halves partner and Josh Butterfield will have after that season at Manly before coming to the Rabbitohs. But that halves combination of Cahill and Butterfield has the potential to build into quite the partnership as Cahill, the man of the moment, finds a bit of space at the back as Barnes has to retreat. Good chase from the Rabbitohs as well. And they force him down inside the Raiders 10. So still 0-0 here at CX Coffs International Stadium. 15 minutes gone. Round 3 of the SRL Premiership. Wednesday night action here live on SRL TV. James goes to Thompson. Long ball out to O'Neill, looking to test out that Rabbitohs defensive line. 2 players to take him down. Williams short to Fe'u. To Rangaho Fe'u. Taking it forward for the Raiders. Final tackle now as O'Neill gets this one away. Down to the wing of Clay once again. His 3rd return in the opening 16 minutes. And it's another good one from the veteran winger. 15 metres in that first return. 35 metres in the second return. Another 15 metres there. So over 60 metres returned for Tyrone Clay. As Thorne goes long to Logan Guys. He's forced back in a big tackle. Some Raiders players. Looks like John Boy Mayava was in the midst of that one. As Saddlecart finds some metres on that left edge and cuts back on the inside. Taken down by Leonidas as Thorne tries to get the kick away, but once again a mistake from a Rabbitohs player at the end of the set, and this time it's a penalty. Kicking it into an offside player as O'Neill will find the sideline around about 40 metres out.
Yeah, the Rabbitohs are just lacking organisation on the final tackle here. First, it's a really awkward ball that goes to the back of Jack Cahill, and now it's Mason Remy just kicking it right into the... Sorry, James Thorne kicking into the back of Mason Remy. The Rabbitohs need to organise what they're doing on the last tackle, otherwise they're just going to keep on giving the ball away in really good field position.
Especially coming up against a side like Canberra, who's got attacking weapons around the park. But this rain surely has a little bit to do with some of the errors we have seen as the Raiders go to Thompson on the fourth. For a moment, I thought he was going to put it up high early, but he decides to take it to the fifth. They go to Williams, gives it to O'Neill. O'Neill's going to put it high. Not a bad kick from Jack O'Neill. Coming down with us, Jason Laumu. And the back hulking centre gets a try for the Raiders to open the scoring here at Coffs Harbour. And the Raiders, what a leap from Laumu. Jots down 4 points to 0.
Wow, it's a bit of deja vu as Jack O'Neill puts up a great kick for Jason Laumu to just absolutely tower over his opposition centre and bash the ball down onto the ground. That is a great try there.
His third assist of the season, Jack O'Neill. Jason Laumu's fifth try of his career, his first try for the Raiders since joining from the Rabbitohs last season. A successful conversion as well by Luke Thompson. Gives the Raiders an early lead after 20 minutes had gone. I was just going to mention, while you were talking, Will, about the Rabbitohs defence and how we have come to see such a staunch defence from South Sydney over the past couple of seasons. But Jack O'Neill, the master himself, a pinpoint kick, landing it right on the try line, just where you want to see those high kicks come down. And Jason Laumu in the right spot at the right time.
Yeah, O'Neill's kicking game has been great and has been great for seasons. He knows exactly where to put the ball and exactly what to tell his players to do to make sure that they get points on the board.
Well, there was a couple of discussions or going around the traps before the season started with the acquisition of Eli Barnes to the Raiders from the Eels as to whether Jack O'Neill's best position was fullback or at number 7. He's played majority of his career in the halves for the Raiders and the Rabbitohs, in fact. But a lot of people don't realise that his number 1 position is actually fullback. That is his primary position. And he has played in his secondary position for much of his career. And so, like I said, that meant that acquisition of Eli Barnes would have been a tough decision for that Raiders leadership crew and Rahul Kaval, and deciding where Barnes would play, where O'Neill would play, especially after, I guess, the season that Barnes had, which wasn't the best of seasons. But so far, with 3 tries to start the season, Barnes probably has solidified himself in that number 1 jersey for the Raiders.
Yeah, moving to the Raiders, it just seems that Eli Barnes has just had a second life. Obviously, not coming off a very strong season last season with the Eels. A bit of a failing in form, but Barnes has just seemed to click really, really well, especially with the spine of the Raiders, and he's been really good so far in the season.
As they go to Kaval, as Barnes makes that break up through the middle, the captain Kaval will play the ball on the 10. Final tackle to O'Neill once again. Another testing kick for Jack O'Neill, but this time Saddlecart gets up well and gets up early. It was Morrison coming through. Could have been Leonidas as well. And this time the Rabbitohs can defend. 25 and a half minutes gone here at Coffs Harbour. You're watching the Simulation Rugby League Premiership on the SRL's YouTube channel. It's the battle of two teams unbeaten so far this season. The Rabbitohs beaten finalists in Season 3, going down to Manly in that grand final last year. But that team is vastly different to what it was. A new halves pairing, which we've talked about, Cahill and Butterfield. And they really need to find who in their team is going to provide that attacking spark. They seem to be lacking. That's one area of their game, I think, Will, that they need to focus on, is that attacking spark at the back. Liam Ryan has been at the club for 3 seasons now and a solid defensive player, but hasn't really shown us enough on attack. What do you reckon?
I'd agree with that statement, Comish. Liam Ryan, a very, very good defensive fullback. But in attack, at times you can be lackluster. Overall, as a playing group, the Rabbitohs have been very, very sound defensively, and they have been like that for a number of seasons, no matter who's pulling on the jersey. But their attack just needs to really sharpen up. And I think that the acquisition of these 2 young halves in Jack Cahill, and Joshua Butterfield will just be absolutely incredible for the Rabbitohs' attack.
As O'Hare steals some metres, and then Thorne palms off a couple of tackles, and they're up to the 40 here, the Rabbitohs, looking for their first points of the game as Guys gets put through a good hole. Jordan Williams with the tackle with a new sparkling bright green hairdo. After his move to the Raiders as Clay charges towards the line, taken down about 3 metres out. Back in Rabbitohs colours this season. O'Hare on the toe and coming through is the Kangaroos captain Jackson Ellison for the Rabbitohs.
What a play. That was a brilliant kick, and Jackson Ellison has come charging onto it. Playing off the bench this week, Jackson Ellison in the front row, he has just been phenomenal so far. He had a really, really good season with Manly last season, and he's been really great at the Rabbitohs in the first 2 games, and he's come up with points in the third one here.
His first try since Season 1 of the SRL. Jackson Ellison celebrates like it's his first try ever. Tell you what, I'm looking down the southern end of the field, and he is absolutely ecstatic with that one. Butterfield lines up the kick from out in front. He'll have no problems. We're locked up 6 apiece. But Jackson Ellison, first try since round 2 of Season 1 back in 2021. What a time for the Kangaroos captain to score.
Yeah, it was a great effort from Jackson Ellison, just coming onto it with speed. He's really shown how diverse a player, especially in the forward pack, he is, as Luke Thompson's going to kick us off here.
Yeah, we spent 2 seasons at the Broncos. Jackson Ellison was in their leadership team for those 2 seasons, but decided to move from Brisbane for Season 3 and got picked up by Matthew Harris and the Manly Seagulls. But never really found that form that I guess he had back in Season 1. It dropped off towards the end of Season 1 and had a quiet Season 2, and he'd be the first to admit it. But with a change and the move to Redfern, and maybe Ellison will find a new form of life as the Rabbitohs get to the end of their set as Cahill sends it down. Good set after a try for South Sydney.
Yeah, it's going to be a really crucial set here from the Raiders, trying to get out of their 40, get out of that yardage position and really, really push towards the other side of the field. They'll need to put in a big kick here if if they don't get past that to try and put the same kind of pressure on the Rabbitohs.
Rabbitohs defensively have done very well the last couple of seasons. James Thorne, so far in season 4, is leading the tackles for the Rabbitohs as an odd kick comes out to the wing of Jacob Morrison right below the commentary box here. For a moment, Will, I thought the ball was going to go straight into your lap. As the ball got sent. An odd-looking kick. I don't know what he was trying to achieve there.
Yeah, it was a strange kick for sure. The only thing that I can think of is that wasn't actually a set play, that just it's come off the side of the boot a little bit. The crossfield kick to the winger can be absolutely deadly if the defense isn't expecting it, and easy to get a line break off it, but they just didn't quite execute it right.
As they come right side to Cahill, long ball out to Ryan, almost getting away from the tackle of Sabbath to Ua. Final tackle now to Rife. Run it on the final tackle, and that's not going to be the result the Rabbitohs would have been after.
Yeah, we've seen it before a couple times this season. The Rabbitohs just running it on the last. You can't be doing that to a forward pack like you got at the Raiders. Defensively, they're just not going to give up, and the likes of Taylorless Rife just couldn't get through in that situation there.
Well, you've got Liam Ryan in particular for the Rabbitohs. 13 line breaks so far this season. If you're going to give it to anyone to run it on the 5th, it's going to be Liam Ryan or Eli Barnes, who we just saw for the Raiders. It's not going to be someone like Taylorless Rife, who doesn't quite have the speed or the agility to get past that solid Raiders defensive line. So I'd like to see Liam Ryan inject himself more into this back line as we are approaching half-time. 2 minutes until the break as Williams puts it high once again. Batted back for Eli Barnes. We talked about him just then. He's the season's leading try scorer now with 4 outright in front. Eli Barnes, his 4th try of the season, and the Raiders look to go in front just before half-time.
That was a great kick there that just set up perfectly. I didn't see who it was that batted it back, but Eli Barnes was the man on the spot to gather the loose ball. And the Rabbitohs, we talked about how sound defensively they've been, just looking in absolute shambles in that play.
Well, it was Jack O'Neill who put the kick up for Jason Laumu earlier in the first half. This time it was Jordan Williams, the big 13, testing out that cork thigh. No problems at all. Got it nice and high, coming down right on the try line. And it was batted back to their star fullback, Eli Barnes, crossing for his 4th try of the season. And he continues to just score points, Eli Barnes. I'm just going to add up how many tries he's got in his career. 19 tries for Eli Barnes over four seasons in the SRL. But we are approaching half-time here at CX Coffs International Stadium. It's the Raiders who will go into the break leading 12 points to 6 as the siren sounds. Luke Thompson will be tackled, and we will see you after the short break here in the Simulation Rugby League Premiership. Welcome back to the Simulation Rugby League Premiership, live from Coffs Harbour here on a Wednesday night. As the rain continues to come down, Will Kay is just making his way back into the commentary box with a hot dog and a pound of chips with some tomato sauce. Thanks, Will. Josh Butterfield gets the second half underway. Raiders with their hands on the ball as Will Kay just hands me the pound of chips. It's a nice. Oh, these are nice chips, Will. Interesting halftime break. I know you were down there with the Raiders. What was Rahul Kaval's words to his team, who have found themselves 12 points to 6 in front?
Oh, sorry. Shouldn't talk with my mouth full. Rahul Kaval looking very, very confident so far. Obviously letting in the 6 points earlier from the Rabbitohs, but overall the Raiders have been really, really good in both attack and defense. He said in this second half they'll be wanting to capitalize on the momentum that they've gained in the first half and try and put some points on early.
A couple of changes for the Raiders. It looks as though Rahul Kaval has taken himself off the field. Is that true?
Yes, indeed. I think it is. I didn't talk to him about the interchange at half time, but it looks as if he has come off the field, and it would be the man himself, Jack O'Neill, coming with that vice captaincy role. So he'd be the acting captain on his behalf. I'm not too sure who subbed on for Kaval, but I'm sure that he's made the excellent choice in whoever it is.
Both teams making their way through their first sets after the half-time break. It looks like Kaval's come off for Wally Allen and Jordan Williams as well after that injury a couple of weeks ago has made way for Siani Mataus, who's moved into that number 13 role. Turangaho Fetu's also come off the field. Aaron Leonidas has come on, and Jordan Lewis has made way for Ben Arnold. So a couple of changes there for the Raiders. Some big boys coming off that interchange bench. The Rabbitohs will have to be on their toes for the second 40 as O'Neill, under pressure, gets the kick away, down to the wing of Clay once again. I tell you what, the Raiders are loving putting the ball down to the wing of Tyrone Clay, one of the most dangerous players in the competition, not only on attack, also one of the best defensive wingers in the SRL, Tyrone Clay. But he is getting a lot of attention from Jack O'Neill and Luke Thompson so far in this one.
Yeah, O'Neill has been absolutely elusive in attack. He has put his team in the best position possible, of either in really close to the try line or just outside in their own 40. Just putting in the big kicks and just showing off how great his kicking game is and why he's such a great representative player.
There's Barnes, breaks through for one. Eli Barnes, the foot race is on. He's got away from too many. They ain't going to catch him. He crosses the 10, and Barnes crosses for a double, and the Raiders score early in the second half to take it out to 16-6.
What a player, Eli Barnes. It's been absolutely phenomenal for the Raiders this season. He's come up with a double tonight. He got around one, and then he got around Liam Ryan, and then it was just shut the gates. He's got the speed to get there, and does he show it?
Well, there was a breakdown in communication defensively for the Rabbitohs. It was a Shea Lay, and I think it could have been Jackson Allison, who's just come back onto the park. They both looked at each other, with neither of them really committing to the tackle. Allison was left flaying on the ground after that late decision. But Barnes, he is too fast, and if you snooze for just a second, he will be gone. Luke Thompson converts, and the Raiders out to an 18-6 lead. You were also down with the Rabbitohs at halftime. They've made a few changes as well. Jackson Allison on for Logan Guys, Tallis Rife for Mason Remy, and then we just mentioned Ashea Lays come on for Drake Dranigan, and Chase Williams for Jackson Cutler. But you had a brief word with Liam Ryan, who's the vice-captain at South Sydney, Will, and you guys were talking around about their defensive setup and how that's going to work. And we just saw Eli Barnes break through that defensive line. What feedback did you get from Liam Ryan at halftime?
Well, the feedback from Liam Ryan was that he was actually very confident in his defence in the first half. I'm sure he'll be very disappointed to have that start within the first 10 minutes of the second half. Just they need to. What he said was the props, especially, really need to buckle in now, and just make sure that they're containing those fast players that are just running it up through the middle.
Oh, they've got the props coming on. Jackson Ellison on for Logan Guys in the second row. Rife has come into the front row for Remy. But you can imagine that their prop rotation around about that 65th minute is going to be Remy and Cutler. So Jackson Cutler, not known as a front rower in the SRL, and he'll be coming up against some pretty big boppers of the Raiders. So the Rabbitohs really need to stay in contention in this third quarter of the game, and they need points as Bell takes a good crossfield kick. He's taken about 9 metres short of the halfway line as Arnold, he charges it forward, drives the legs and steals an extra couple. Allen this time. Good advantage metres, just bending that defensive line, and the Raiders getting good front foot ball here from their big boys. Arnold once again looking for a quick play. The ball gets it as James comes right. Thompson, intercept pass from Cahill. Cahill comes away with it. Had Collins on the inside. Decides to take the tackle, but the Raiders on the back foot as Collins looks for a quick play the ball. Butterfield to Williams. Fresh legs on the park. The white headgear standing out as the Rabbitohs decide to go short side. Butterfield had Collins on the outside of him. They decide to take the tackle once again as Williams darts through the gap. Chase Williams taking it, a good ball and all tackle by Eli Barnes. 9 metres out, tackle for Allison. Cuts back on the inside. 2 people take him down. Final tackle now. Back in the pocket is Cahill. That's a better kick by Cahill. Going up high, but taking it's Jacob Morrison. And the Raiders diffuse that first attacking opportunity of the second half from the Rabbitohs.
Jeez, what a defensive read to start that set from Jack Cahill. That was an absolutely phenomenal read, and he was in strife because Rabbitohs definitely had the right edge numbers. Oh, sorry, the Raiders had the right edge numbers over the Rabbitohs. He's just come away with the ball there and made a really good run, which put him on the front foot, obviously not being able to capitalise it on the last.
Really want to see more from Josh Saddle-Card. He was out in that far wing for the Rabbitohs, and they went short side, but just needs to get himself involved a little bit more. Tyrone Clay has had a busy game so far, but we really need to see some spark from the Rabbitohs if they're going to close this gap the Raiders have created. Final tackles. O'Neill decides to put a low, sharp kick to the wing of Saddle-Cart. He gets away from one, but he's met head on by Eli Barnes, and he's driven backwards onto his back. As Thorne goes to Rife, centre field. They'll set it up. Numbers to the right. They go right through Thorne. Butterfield. Short to O'Hare, who struggles for a moment. Tried to get the hands free, but wrapped up well by Ben Arnold. That's Davis. Rabbitohs struggling to get out of their own half in this set as they look to kick early by Butterfield. It's a good decision from Butterfield. Doesn't really get the depth that he probably would have been hoping for as Barnes comes across and grabs it, but good defence there from the Raiders, trapping the Rabbitohs down inside their own half. And as we tick over 57 minutes gone here, Will, the Rabbitohs really need to start to find some good territory and find who's going to find points for them.
Yeah, for sure. Especially in this really good field position in this second half here. In this set here, that the Raiders have. The Rabbitohs will need and really need to hold them out. Otherwise, they're in all sorts of trouble. They'll need to get a good return off this big kick here and try and get some points on the board within the next couple sets.
High kick from Mata'us comes down a couple of metres short of the try line. Not the type of kick he would have been hoping for, and taken down by Chase Williams. Mata'us on in that halves roll. We'll see him Do a fair bit of kicking in the second half, one would assume, as Thorne goes long and flat to Jackson Ellison. Scored that try in the first half for South Sydney, and that smile didn't come off his face for the rest of that first half. Stake here for the Rabbitohs gives the Raiders more territorial position. Barnes taken down, 23 out. This could be a big turning point in the game. It's a big moment in the game right now. Leonidas, 11 out, centre field. They go flat to Wally Allen. He'll charge it forward inside the Rabbitohs 10. They stay short side. James, a knock on there from the Raiders. It was Tim James trying to find, I think it was Wally Allen on a short ball. Allen couldn't hold on to it. And the Rabbitohs survive. As they make their way outside their own half, it's Ryan. Had the hands free for a moment. Remy on the outside of him decides to hold it. Short side, right underneath us here in the commentary box. As Collins goes into dummy half. Cahill. Cut out pass to Ellison. Busy second half so far for Jackson Ellison. 22 metres out. Tackle 4. O'Hare deciding to run. Looks like he's going to play a decent role here tonight. O'Hare, Cahill puts it high, come off the side of the boot. Hasn't got the depth that he would have been hoping for. Williams comes down with it. But a nothing kick really there from Jack Cahill.
Jesus, that is a great take from, I think it was whoever's playing on that.
Chase Williams.
Was it Chase Williams, was it? Yep, perfect. It was a great take from Chase Williams. Coming down with the ball, obviously just not being able to capitalise and not getting much momentum here. The Rabbitohs are just struggling against a really dominant Raiders side.
Raiders definitely are winning the arm wrestle at the moment. Lewis will play the ball around about 27 metres out. Centre field, they go left. That's Fe'u. Up inside the 20, final tackle now. Will O'Neill go high? Yes, he will. We know what kind of boot he has. It looks like it came off a Rabbitohs player. For a moment, I thought it was a knock-on. Referee has said no. Batted back by one of the Raiders, but they've given the ball away. The Rabbitohs under pressure at the moment. Now this will be a big moment as Mata'us drives towards the line. The wrestle and the tackle strong, and Sione Mata'us looks like he's crossed for his first try in the SRL.
Wow, and we'll see what they say. They give the green light, and what a moment for Sione Mata'us. Just coming off that intercept from Sabbath Tour. And just a great run, pushing Liam Ryan over the line. It's a great moment for the rookie player, having a great season in the Mines, and a really great game in the emerging teams.
Coming on for Jordan Williams at half-time. Sione Mata'us makes it 24 points to 6 after the Luke Thompson conversion. And we talked about big moments and big games. And Mata'us just decided to take the line on. Fresh legs on at half-time, taking that 13 role from Jordan Williams. And I think from memory, he's come on in the centres the first couple of weeks of the season, but his first game at lock. And a big moment for the young rookie.
Yeah, just be over the moon. I remember scoring my first try, and I was absolutely ecstatic for the Cowboys. He's a great half. Obviously taken on that position in a lock, I believe, for the Raiders. He will be a player to watch in the coming seasons.
You mentioned he had a couple of good games in the Mines before being selected in that draft a couple of weeks ago. One game in particular stands out to me for the Firehawks. And really crossed for 2 tries and 3 assists as well. Sione Mata'us really is a player who could make something of himself in the future here in the Simulation Rugby League Premiership. Not sure if he had much of a rugby league career in real life, but his career so far in the SRL is just getting started. Crossing for his first try. 67 coming up, 68 minutes gone here in this opening game on Wednesday night in the Simulation Rugby League Premiership. It's the Raiders leading 24 points to 6 at the moment. Up 12 points to 6 at the break. 2 tries in the second half, and they really have broken apart this sound Rabbitohs defence that we've come to know as one of the best in the competition. But we have seen so far over the past, or the opening couple of rounds of the season, that this Raiders attack is growing to be one of the best in the competition. As Thompson looks for the 40-20, doesn't quite get the angle right. It trickles over the sideline at around about the 25-metre mark, but Thompson looking to catch out the Rabbitohs.
It was a good kick option from Luke Thompson, just didn't quite get the bounce that he wanted. And the Rabbitohs get out of a bit of strife there with just a good amount of luck.
They evade the danger that would have been possibly Sione Mata'us running on to another ball close to the line. It's Ryan now. Rabbitohs setting it up. 9 short of halfway. Still 10 minutes to go in this one. We have seen 3 tries in 10 minutes before. The Rabbitohs, they just have to push their way up onto that Raiders line. They need someone to put their hand up and take the bull by the horn and try to find some points. Allison, he's already got 1 tonight. 28 metres out. Remy finds Cutler back on the field, playing in that prop position, Jackson Cutler. Final tackle now. They find Cahill in the pocket, puts it high, but again, it's too deep. Barnes takes it in the in goal, and they'll have a 7-tackle set here, Raiders.
Yeah, it's a bit too deep there from the Rabbitohs, just slightly. They needed to put it a little bit further out and get that opportunity to push Eli Barnes back into the in goal rather than give away a 7-tackle set and a 20-metre head start.
We talked early in the game about, the matchups these two teams have had so far this season, and both teams coming in unbeaten to this game. But we kind of are seeing a big difference between these two sides. The Rabbitohs, former grand finalists 2 seasons in a row, have lost a few players. Their 2 wins this season against the 2 teams find themselves at the bottom of the table. And this could see the Rabbitohs fall out of the top 4 for the first time in quite a while. As O'Neill puts it high into the wind in the second half, the Raiders doesn't quite get it deep enough as Chase Williams comes down his second take of the half, short side to Butterfield. No way through there for the veteran 5'8", Thorne. Driving the legs and stealing an extra couple of metres. This rain continues to come down. It has done throughout the whole 74 minutes of this game. What an honour to be up at Coffs Harbour once again. Rabbitohs have never lost to the Raiders here in the SRL. That is going to change here tonight. I don't see the Rabbitohs coming back with just over 5 minutes remaining. Canberra will get the 2 points. As O'Neill takes it flat-footed. Jordan Lewis charging up through the middle. Finding Tim James, had his hands free for the offload, no one around him. The tall hooker decides to hold on to it. Thompson takes on the line, short side, Kaval. Mayava. Final tackle near. Slow play the ball for John Boy Maiava as Kaval will put it high. Not a bad kick from Kaval, but taking it well was Tyrone Clay. And 76.5 minutes, Will. 3.5 minutes to go in this one. 24 points to 6. The Raiders are going to get their first win over the Rabbitohs.
It has been an absolutely dominating performance from the Raiders, and I don't think they could deserve it any more. The Rabbitohs have just been unable to complete their sets, unable to get some good points in when they've got the best field position they possibly can, and the Raiders have been able to do exactly that. They couldn't deserve it more, and they've had a great game.
Well, they came into this game top of the table, Canberra. 2 wins from their opening 2 games, dominant wins as well. The best attacking team in the competition, and they have upheld that reputation here tonight. Leading 12 points to 6 at the break. They've kept the Rabbitohs scoreless in the second 40 minutes. Sorry, Will, what were you going to say?
I was going to say it has just been absolutely incredible from the Raiders. Just what they've been able to achieve tonight in defence, in attack. They have shown that they're a team that are contending. They are contending and they're coming for the premiership. And the Rabbitohs, they've got a lot of work to do, but they definitely can get there too if they just take this game and look at the improvements they can make.
Coming up next week for the Rabbitohs, they take on the Cowboys up at Queensland Country Bank Stadium, while the Raiders will be away to the Parramatta Eels. But that is the siren. It's the Raiders who will bag the 2 points, beating the Rabbitohs 24 points to 6. A dominant performance from the table toppers for Season 4. 2 tries to Eli Barnes. The Season 2 Sim VP is back in form here in the SRL. While the Rabbitohs, they will go back to the drawing board and they will look to find where they can try and score some points for Jackson Ellison, their only try of the game, his first since Season 1. But for the Raiders, it was Eli Barnes, Jason Laumu and Sione Mataus scoring his first try of the game. Where do you think the Raiders outshone the Rabbitohs, Will?
Well, I think especially the Raiders outshone the Rabbitohs was the matchup in the spine, especially the halves. Jack O'Neill and Luke Thompson both getting very involved with Eli and Barnes linking up those 2 halves. Whereas in the Rabbitohs, I guess Jack Cahill and Josh Butterfield were very quiet all game. So that definitely was the deciding factor, I think, for the Raiders.
Looking at this Raiders statistics right here, the average running meters, you can notice how the game plan was to use Eli Barnes, Jack O'Neill and Luke Thompson to run the ball. All those players making big meters compared to their forwards who, didn't really have much of a game. It was more of a defensive game for the Raiders forward pack. And, using their experienced spine or their halves and their fullback of Eli Barnes and making some good meters up through the middle against that Rabbitohs defence who seemed to struggle. Tim James, 30 tackles. Sabbath Tu'ua continuing his good form for Season 4, 22 tackles. And 323 kick meters there for Jack O'Neill. While for the Rabbitohs, 26 tackles for James Thorne. Josh Butterfield chipping in with 15. 4 missed tackles for James Thorne. He won't be happy about that. But overall, a good win there for the Raiders, and they'll move into round 4 next week. A big game against the Cowboys, while the Rabbitohs will regroup and they will take on the Parramatta Eels. And you'd have to say that'll be a big game for the Rabbitohs next week, a big game for the season, a defining one at that. But that will be the end of our broadcast. Coming up next, it's the Manly Seagulls taking on the Auckland Warriors live here on the SRL.